Today I'm going to be talking you through a method of Betfair trading that is quite simple. It is probably the most simple method I've spoke about ever on the channel, and it is perfect if you're a beginner to Betfair trading. It is a trade that has very little risk in it. I won't lie, the reward in it is quite low as well, but the reason for that is because anyone who normally does this to generate a big amount of income uses quite large stakes. Now, obviously, as always on this channel, I am not an expert when it comes to Betfair trading. I'm still just a beginner. I've been doing it just under a year now, and I'm only just starting to get to grips with it and get the hang of how to work Betfair trading. But what I do is I try out loads of different strategies with low stakes so that I can get a feel of the strategy and figure out how it works. I recommend you do the same if you're just getting into Betfair trading. I also recommend you do a lot more research around the strategies than just one video. Watch a few different traders' perspectives and see if they offer any better insight to certain trades. Another thing I'd recommend if you're getting into Betfair trading is to just find one or two strategies that you really enjoy and really perfect them two strategies. Don't learn every strategy there is, just learn one or two and perfect them. It is that simple. Have a look around, see if there's ones you'd prefer or ones you think might be easier or better in the long run and use them if you'd rather. But in general, try and just stick to a few strategies that you know very well rather than a lot that you don't know at all. So let's get into what this strategy actually is. So the method I'm going to be talking to you about today is called football scalping. Now, scalping is normally a method of trading that is used on either horse racing or tennis, loads of different variations, but it's not rarely used in football, but out of all the sports it's used on, football is probably down there at the lower end of the users. But scalping, in a nutshell, is getting in and out of the market extremely quickly. You're not waiting for a few hours to get out of a trade. You're not even waiting a few minutes. You are literally getting in and out within a few ticks of the trade. That's why this makes it quite low risk. I'm going to show you an example of this in a bit where I did it live, and you'll get to see how much profit I made from quite low stakes. And then we'll talk about the scalability of this strategy as well. Now, you don't need huge movement, like I just said there. You don't need the odds to drop massively or shoot up to make some profit. You're literally looking for them few ticks in the market to get your profit extracted, and then you leave your position. But the key thing to note with football scalping is you're not just doing this once per game. So, for example, with under 2.5 goal strategy, you'll normally get in at the start of the match, stay in 5, 10, 15 minutes, get out, and then you're done. With football scalping, you'll probably be sat watching the whole match, and you'll be jumping in and out of the match for 10 plus times during the game. Just for a few seconds here and there, but 10 plus times you'll be jumping in, getting a quick bit of profit, and then jumping back out. And you'll just be adding to that as the game goes on. Now, there is a load of variety when it comes to scalping, so if I show you my screen here, you can either do it on the correct score page and scalp the correct scores. You can scalp the match odds if you feel like it. But the scalping strategy I like to use is the over 2.5 goals. I do the over 2.5 goals to a point where it is not a risk. So by that I mean if there's been a goal or two in the game already, don't trade within 0.5 of the scoreline. So if the game is 2-0, add a goal to that. So then you go to the over 3.5. If the game is 1-0, stick with the 2.5. If the game is 3-0, go to the over 4.5. This just gives you that added bit of security, because if the game's at 2-0 and you're scalping the under 2.5 market, if a goal comes in, it wipes out all your stake. So that's not what you want. You always want that added layer of security. So I'd definitely recommend, if you're doing the over-under market, go above the current scoreline so that you're never really fully at risk of losing your stake. It's obviously going to have a huge impact still if something goes wrong, but you'll hopefully not lose a substantial amount. In fact, if you were doing this at 2-0 and a goal went in, you'd lose everything. So just make sure you're giving yourself that added layer of security when you come to do your scalps. So let's get into it then. This is me doing a scalp the other day. I was doing it on the Barcelona Deportivo game. Not a clue who they are. I just know it's probably a lower league team because it was a cup fixture. And what I did here was the under 2.5 goal market. It's the one I just went in on. It had quite a bit of liquidity, so I was happy to go in. Now, I was only doing this with £10 stakes, just as I'm doing normally to get used to the strategy, but this is a strategy that I personally I'm going to scale up and use bigger stakes with, in the hope that that will generate some money for me. So you will see that in the future. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe. But in the future, you will see me using this strategy with a larger stake to try and get some more profit from my Betfair trading. But I got in the market here at that 2.2 with £10 and got that bet placed. Now, I'm going to show you a strategy that's a little bit different in a few minutes on the same game, but it's a little bit different, and it will help you make sure that you have a predefined entry and exit point to the market. But you can see there we got into the game with 14 seconds on my little recording down here, and we're just going to see how long we actually stay in the market before we get our profit. So we've been in there about 10 seconds now at the moment. We're just waiting for the time to pass on this, and I'm just going to skip forward to the point where I cash out of the trade. And you can see here I then went to lay at 2.2, so that is 2 ticks lower than where I entered the market. It's going to lay for the £10 stake. Laying for the exact stake you've put on in the backing odds is just a nice quick way to get your risk out, and then you can cash out for overall profit. I'll show you that in just a second as well. But you can see I confirmed that bet there and waited for it to go through. Now it took a little bit longer than expected to get this green up and get this profit because there was a dangerous free kick for Barcelona, so it didn't drop the odds too quickly. But the one key bit of advice I could give if you're doing this strategy is to watch the game. And don't watch it on some dodgy live stream or anything like that. Watch the game live on a proper provided network so you are up to date with the game as it's going on. That will help you massively when it comes to strategies like this, because you need to know what the current state of play is. For the purpose of this game, I was just using the little graphic down here, and it did nearly catch me out a few times. For example, in this trade, it caught me out. I was ready to get into the market and then leave a few seconds later as the odds dropped, but because I wasn't watching the game, I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't know there was that attacking free kick availability option for Barcelona to get. So they got it, and I was in the trade a little bit longer than expected. But I got out of the trade at 1 minute 46. Take off that 14 seconds means I was in for around about 1.5 minutes in this trade. 1.5 minutes, and I got a very little profit considering the fact that there was that attacking situation, so it does reduce the profit as well. But you can see here, I got the £10 stake out, which meant we were greened up, which meant we had no risk in the market anymore. And then to get the guaranteed profit, we just select this cash out button up here, and then we're done. I think we did get the 8 pence there, which I know isn't a lot, especially for a £10 stake, but you're going to do this trade multiple times during the game. And that is the reason why this is low risk and low reward, but because it's so low risk, you can do this multiple times and build up that stake throughout the game. So that is the first time we did the trade in this game. I'm just going to come back and show you the second time. So the second time I got in to do the trade was a little bit different. I did something that I definitely recommend you do if you're football scalping, and that is to preset your exit point. So when you're getting into the market, in fact, I'll just show you this over here on the Swindon Man City game tonight. This is how I'd set it up if I was going to do football scalping. I'd come in, select the odds that I wanted to start at, so 3.7, put in my £10 stake or whatever stake I was going with, and I'd select the lay odds as well, go down a few points below, so you can see 3.7 there is where we would be at. I'd go down to 3.65, put in my £10 there, and I'd place them together. That way it is taking all the option out of your hands. You're no longer the one who decides when to leave the market. It is already predetermined for you, and you're getting that market locked in and sorted. So you can't just sit there and go, oh, I'll give it a few more ticks. We'll just wait and see. We'll see how this goes. It means you're done and you're ready and you have your order executed, ready to go, which is definitely what I'd recommend. If you want to go a few ticks below, by all means do it here at this section as well. But I definitely recommend doing this just so you have your points set out ready. But you can see here I got into the trade at 18.49, which is the exact point here. I put in my trade at laying 2.08, my £10 there ready to go, selected keep and update, and then that had everything ready to go. So we got in, very quickly there. And then all I will do when I'm doing this trade to make sure it's all done is I'll keep it in refresh until we see the loss disappear in the over market. So it literally does only take a few seconds here. There was a shot on goal, but normally after the shot on goal, when, especially if they're off target, if they're on target, you're in a bit of trouble. But if they're off target, then it's going to go back to a goal kick, and that's going to kill a few more seconds and drop the odds back down. And that's exactly what happens here in this situation. So you can see we could either then get 68 pence overall for under 2.5 goals or 9 pence for over. But I do, like I said before, confirm the cash out, which gives us a guaranteed 36 pence after 2 trades. 2 trades there that have been less than 2 minutes in the market. So less than 2 minutes in the market. And yes, we're only getting very little there. We're getting around 4% return. But considering the amount of risk we've actually had in the game and the amount of time we've had our stake at risk, I think that's actually quite a decent return. I then show here exactly what I was doing. So I was getting in at 3.15, getting out at 3.1, getting ready to place my bet, and I just got it placed nice and easily. So we'll wait for this to get matched in 5 seconds, and I'm going to actually time how long this one takes. So we got in at 13 seconds there, and I'm just going to go forward until we're greened up. And again, this is another situation where a set piece is going to make you stay in the market a little bit longer. So you can see there was a corner awarded here. So this one again is going to be another situation where I'm in the market a little bit longer than you probably want to be in the market. But then corner gets cleared, goes back, and everyone recovers, which means within a few seconds we'll green up. And you can see there we greened up with our options there in the markets. Then I fully cashed out yet again, and that left us with 52 pence minimum out of this game. So now we're at 5% after 3 trades in about 3.5 minutes in the market. So normally when you do the under 2.5 goal market, you could be up there until the 15th, 20th minute getting that 10%. But here we're already halfway through that, and we've had very little risk in the market. The goal did come pretty much after the last trade I did, so I'm glad I got out while I did. But luckily, with it still just being the first goal, there is still the opportunity there to, if a goal does come in, you can have a bit more of a thought process about what to do with your stake. You can either get out with the initial loss, leave it in a few minutes and hope the market settles down, but giving yourself that bit of leeway between the goals really does help. And just to show you here then, this is where I stopped doing my trades for this game, and we were at £1.05. I got into this market and out of it 5 times. 5 times in the market for about probably 4 minutes worth of total risk time, and I got that 10% return back. If you were doing this trade with £100, possibly more, then you can see where it gets interesting, because here I got in with £10 and made £1.05. If you get in with £100, you'd have just made £10 there, but I only did it 5 times. Like I said at the start, if I was watching this game live, like I recommend you do when you're trading, you would have been able to get in 10 plus times throughout the game, because you're only looking to be in there between 10 seconds and maybe a minute at most. But the reason I was only ever in for longer than 10-15 seconds was when a free kick happened or a corner happened. And then at them points, you do have to stay in a little bit longer. But if you're getting into the market 10-15 times in a game, you're going to be making 20 to 30% sometimes return on your stake that you use. And considering the amount of risk that you do actually put up in this game or in this trade, I think that is a really substantial return. Especially when you consider the amount of live games that are on TV at the moment as well. You could do this so often. In fact, I even did a little calculation that if you did this 6-7 times a week and literally did it 10 times a game, if you could, you'd very easily be able to build up that bankroll. So even if you just started with the £10 until you felt comfortable, you could build it up and add in your wins each time. Or at the end of the week, maybe you can add in a nice little safety section. So the earnings that you've got from these trades, you then have kind of a buffer fund in case it sometimes goes wrong. And I think being able to do this long term will definitely be a viable option for people. So what I'm going to be doing over the course of the next month is I'm going to be using this strategy. I'm going to be using this strategy just with the small stakes of £10 each time until I'm comfortable. And I'm going to be keeping you guys up to date on that monthly roundup video I do with my finances exactly how this strategy is going, because I genuinely see this strategy as being something I can scale up and use as an option to really generate some big incomes from this selection. So let's just use this match here as an example. So we got £1 at 5p return from a £10 stake, which is a 10.5% return, as you can see here. Now we did that for 5 trades. I'm saying you should probably be doing a minimum of 10 trades a game if you can, and that will get you roughly a 20% return. If you're getting a 20% return consistently, and I know you should never do this because you can never guarantee you're going to be getting these returns, so you can't fully work it out without adding in the risk element, but I genuinely, if you're watching the game live, the risk to this strategy is pretty minimal, because if you get into this, say, when a team has a goal kick and they're just passing it around the back, if you get into this strategy when there's an injury or a throw-in in a really boring position on the pitch, any situation like that, you're going to be able to get in and get a few ticks on the unders market and be able to get that profit. But if you can get that 20% return, and you can do that 7 times a week, you're looking at potentially on a month basis a £56 return, but that is from a £10 investment. So from £100 stakes instead, you'd be looking at 560 and so on. But obviously this is dependent on the odds, because if you get into a game like the Manchester City Swindon game tonight, you can see the odds are a lot higher, which gives you a lot more opportunity for them to drop, and you could get some bigger profit. If the odds are a lot lower, it's going to take a little bit more to move the market in the games. But again, I just genuinely see some real potential with football scalping, and I'm looking forward to getting started with it. But if you're new to the channel and you want to really make sure you stick up to date with how this is going for me, then please do be sure to hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you're going to give this strategy a try yourself. And if you've got any scalping tips at all, please let me know down in the comments, because I'm really looking out for some at the moment while I get started. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.